People love to complicate growing monstera, but it's essentially three things: light, soil, and water. When you water your monstera, make sure that the soil is completely saturated. When you're watering indoor plants, make sure that you have a tray underneath your plant. After water comes out of the bottom, let this sit for another 10 or 15 minutes before dumping out the extra water. Sometimes your soil can still have dry spots and your plant may suck up extra water to fully saturate the soil. This works a lot better on smaller plants or plants in terracotta pots, and generally you won't notice it with bigger plants. To know when your soil is dry, you can use a moisture meter or a wooden stick to test your soil. A moisture meter will tell you with some accuracy how dry your soil is, and a wooden stick placed all the way to the bottom will show you how wet your plant is too. Spin it a little bit to create more contact and then take it out. If the stick is completely dry, your soil is completely dry. If the stick is wet with clumps of dirt still attached, then it's still wet. The truth is, with monstera, they tend to get used to whatever watering schedule you want to give them. You can water your plants as your soil is getting 100% dry, and because the soil generally dries from the top to the bottom, you can water your plant again when the top 80% is dry and the bottom 20 is still wet. All that really matters is that your plant is able to dry out, and you can use a tool to prove that. Just keep in mind, if you use a moisture meter, they are notoriously bad. A lot of inexpensive moisture meters are such poor quality, and many people don't know that you're not supposed to leave your moisture meter inside of your pot all the time. They tend to break easily, and they are more and more unreliable depending on how much perlite or orchid bark you put inside your pot. Monsteras don't really care that much what soil mix you give them. The mix I use is 1/3 potting soil, 1/3 perlite, 1/3 orchid bark. The brand of soil doesn't really matter, and the size of your perlite or orchid bark particles don't really matter either. Some will argue that you should always pay more money for a higher quality soil, especially if you're trying to avoid getting pests in your collection, but really you can do whatever you want. The purpose of adding amendments like perlite and orchid bark is to increase your drainage and increase the access to oxygen. More drainage means your monstera will dry out faster. If your soil is taking too long to dry out or not drying out at all, this will cause unhealthy roots. If your plant is drying out within 2 weeks, you're probably good. But if it's taking 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, never, well, then your problem is probably light. The more light you have, the faster your soil dries out. And the main thing to make your plant grow bigger and faster is light. An app or a standalone light meter can tell you. Basically, you want anything up to 3,000 foot candles or 32,000 lux. Anything below 100 foot candles or 1,000 lux is basically guaranteeing that your leaves will either stay the same size or decrease in size. Do whatever you need to do to increase both the intensity of your light and the amount of daylight that your plant receives. This either means pushing your plants closer to the window or using grow lights to extend the amount of light that they're getting. For example, in my setup, this Soltech bulb gives me 2 hours of extra sunlight at 3,000 foot candles before sunrise. After sunset, I program it to give me 2 hours of extra light in the summertime and about 4 hours of extra light in the wintertime. You want to maintain good lighting for at least 12 hours a day. So this setup is really helpful to me because it extends my daylight hours from 9 hours in the winter to 15 hours. It doesn't really matter what type of grow lights you buy, but if you need suggestions from our community on Discord, you can join through the link in the description and ask in our grow lights channel. Once you get these 3 factors down, your monstera just wants stability. Moss poles are not needed for this plant, and all you really need is a stable support that you can tie your stem to. Try to avoid buying these types of poles off of Amazon because they're just not that stable. Tie your stem to your stake, and as long as you can avoid this common mistake, you're going to have absolutely no problems with growing this plant. So make sure you check out these videos here. I think they're pretty good.